Hello and welcome to another of our wonderful Cryptic Arts podcasts, where I get to chat with the wonderful deaf, disabled and neurodivergent creatives that are working on this year's Cryptic Arts Pit Party at the Pit Theatre in the Barbican here in sunny London. Well, it's less sunny now. It's on November the 19th and 20th this year, but don't worry, it's also going to be streamed live on the Barbican website. So even if you can't get to London, you can still enjoy what the wonders we have in store for you. And to make sure that you know what's coming and to get you all excited, we're going to be introducing you to all of the artists that we're working with. And today we have the wonderful Rufus Elliot. Hello, Rufus. Woohoo!
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Nick. How's it going?
I'm good. See, I'm obviously far too overexcited, and you're kind of, hey, I'm a cool musician. That's brilliant. So what I'd like to do first is to introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us what you do, your creative practice, and basically that kind of bio stuff that we always get asked to do.
All right. Well,
Okay, cool.
my name's Rufus Elliot. I am in a place called Port Henderson near Gairloch in the northwest of Scotland. I am a composer, a musician, and most of the time I sit around and try and think of some notes to write on a page, and then after a while I give them to someone else and say, can you make anything of this? Like, what can we go forward from here? And and that's most of what I do with my time.
So that's how you do it. You envision it in your head, and then it comes out through notes.
Yeah, I think I found at some point that because I play as well, but I'm quite a sort of shy performer and quite a shy player, full stop. And I just sort of found that uh, I can do a lot more if I hold a pen and sit in a quiet room and think for myself. I can do a lot more than if I sit in a room with other people and play and try and do it like that. I just, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I find it funny that you're saying that, like, oh, it's so impressive if you can write and read the music, but I get the opposite of, like, people. Maybe I feel like I'm not a real musician because I sit there with a pen and paper and think about
Oh,
stuff in my
no.
head.
The thing is, I do understand, because being a synth player, I program stuff into sequences. So it's a bit like having multiple staves. Like each synth does a thing, and so I get that kind of on your own. In your head, you're imagining all of it. It's not like, hey, I'm a guitarist, I can imagine the guitar part. You're doing it all. And, it's
Yeah.
it's talent combined with ego.
um,
So why did you want to get involved with Cryptic? What made you apply?
I mean, I guess it's this sort of really different thing that exists and is really sort of singular and special in what it does. The sort of diversity of different people who are involved and the kind of work that they make is kind of unique. And through being involved, being able to come to workshops and hear from the other artists who are involved, and sort of be part of a sort of bigger conversation. You're not sort of course, everyone's working on their own projects, but you're not sort of working in isolation on your own projects. There's like a bigger conversation that's taking place through the project, which is just kind of amazing.
And you're doing something a little different for us, aren't you? See, because you're not going to be performing, you're creating something special for us that is going to be, it's almost like a theme tune, isn't it? Tell us a bit about that. How are you going about
If it's a theme tune, it's not a very catchy theme tune. It's
that?
like more of a drifting, open-ended theme tune than you might normally get. It's yeah, been working on a new piece of music. It's kind of like uh, the sort of in-world music of the eventual showcase. Is like this music that we have that will be played through through the sort of sound system at the Barbican. That's yeah, sort of it's a new commission. It's sort of setting the scene, I suppose, and sort of bringing people in and out of the worlds of the performance, um, and uh, yeah, it sort of goes to a few different places, and it's got strings. It's got a little bit of bass guitar to get like we've got like really good bass speakers, so you might feel it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
um, and singing and just like kind of open-ended sort of moments that that will sort of accompany the evening.
Yeah, it's going to be like a mood music. When I say theme, I don't necessarily mean cryptic. That's a kind of rubbish idea. But sort of, it's going to be before the event and then during the interval at the end and sort of in between. It's going to be, I can't wait to hear it, I must admit. So how are you going about, how do you go about writing a piece like that? Where do you start?
Um, in this case, it was through sort of joint improvisation. It was kind of like, okay, let's say we've got maybe up to 10 minutes, so maybe we've got like 4 or 5 sort of bite-sized pieces of music that we're gonna
Oh,
make,
cool.
and then it just kind of I when I improvise, I like to put my viola into a particular tuning that sort of sits for me and is like for me it's actually I find it a lot easier to play. I mean, viola is like one of these awful heavy instruments that's just really terribly designed. Like it came from a viol that you played like holding in your lap, and then it became this thing that you hold up on your shoulder. Only it's like way bigger than a violin,
Yes.
and it's also a lot lower than a violin, but the sound box of the viola is like too small for the range of the instrument. So you have to work like quite hard usually to play, and then you've got like the strings are obviously quite sort of high tension, so you're having to work quite a lot with like the bow arm as well to like make a lot of sound. But for me, I found uh, my mum played the viola and she actually stopped playing the viola because it was so heavy and it caused her so much pain. Um, and so I've kind of got this way of like tuning the viola down, like maybe a major second, even minor third, and settling it in a new harmony. And then, like, because everything's really slack, you can play really freely. And okay, it
Oh,
doesn't
wow.
project as much, but like, if you're sort of working and recording here, then it doesn't really matter. And then everything just kind of speaks a lot easier. All the harmonics come out a lot quicker,
Oh, wow.
and it just kind of yeah, it changes the game. And and yeah, so once I'd kind of got a tuning, and then it's just kind of like yeah, seeing how it flowed, and then you sort of record some bits, start piecing them together on the sort of digital workspace, and then think like, okay, these parts are good. I want something to change it up here, and I want something to change it up here, and then it's like, okay, I've got all these raw materials, and then you're working with sort of like any sort of digital stuff that you do to sort of make it feel more like a
Mm.
world, the sort of
Yeah.
mixing side of it. So yeah, that's what I was doing like the last few days actually. I've been in like cryptic world, doing some mixing. So
Everyone I'm talking to is at that kind of point where they're like, yes, thank you for interrupting me and making me stop my flow. You know, I was in deep creative mode, and now I've had to come and talk to you. Thanks. So,
no, I'm well done with the listening for one day. That's enough.
yes, yeah, that was a
Yeah.
good thing about doing it at this time. We're doing it sort of later in the day, folks. And it's quite. I thought I know what you're doing. You're thinking, well, I'll step away now. This is it. This is that break time before going back to being a person again instead of creating. So very well done. What was it that made you want to be a musician?
um, I love music. It's you know the great
It's weird, isn't it?
consolation.
Because I'm
And
asking everyone, what was it made you want to do it? And it's weird for music because it's not quite the same as, oh, I wanted to be a theatrical type, or that kind of thing. I wanted to be on stage. I want to do musicals. Music, it's sort of it's in you, isn't it?
yeah, I mean, just any time that I've ever struggled, it's always been like, if you can get the headphones wrapped around your head, then like things are gonna improve from there.
Yeah.
And like when I don't feel too good about what's happening in the world, then I I always just want to listen to music. And I guess that's always been like, I was speaking to my oldest friend on the phone last night, and she was like, yeah, well, as long as I've known you, you've always been like escaping into music, or like consoled in music. And I guess at some point it wasn't just like the listening
Yeah.
and sort of loving like hearing and feeling the music in my body, but also like imagining it and like sort of creating my own sort of worlds that I can be in as well. And yeah, I don't know, just I guess I've just been really lucky as well that people have kind of given me chances and encouraged me and everything.
So that's the good bit, encouragement and chances. What bad experiences have you had? What barriers have you faced in trying to become a professional, musician?
Yeah,
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 I asked Miss Jackie this, and she was like, "Oh my God, where do I start?" And it's quite a big one, isn't it? Because it's sort of a lot.
yeah. I mean, yeah. I slightly overwhelmed with sort of where to begin.
Mm,
I mean, I have in a lot of ways been very lucky and had people who've
mm,
sort of tolerated the difficulties of that that I have had with sort of stuff that I've done. And but I suppose like uh, for all the sort of challenges, I guess things like being involved with something like CRIPtic is amazing because it's sort of trying to find some other way of
mm,
doing things that's not where you're not spending all your time sort of pressed against the wall trying to get through this barrier. And I suppose this project that I've worked on myself over at, which has been kind of trying to do a similar thing, but in sort of focusing on transness and gender
yeah,
diversity. So that's like another area where I've really struggled
yeah,
to sort of get through that wall. Um, uh, and I suppose like it's those uh, things where there's like a sort of provisional community that
mm,
like we might not all be doing the same things, we might not
yeah,
all want the same things, but we can kind of gather together for this and try and have conversations and try and like do something together. And I think that's the sort of that's where the power is rather than
mm,
in that's kind of the good struggle rather than
yes.
the painful struggle.
And I think that's something about Cryptic that I also really like is that it is so intersectional. It's probably the most intersectional of the disability arts things I've ever worked on. And it's for me as an old duffer, it's a real great education. I'm learning loads. I'm meeting loads of wonderful people that I probably would never have met just in the disability world. We are a little bit overly insular, so it's sort of great to get that going. Right, we're nearly at the end, and now, yes, I've already told you we'd like you to try and describe the piece that you're creating to our wonderful audience, so they go, "Oh wow, I must." Even if the whole show's rubbish, which it won't be, but I've got to go to hear that piece of music because it's going to be stunning.
Yeah. uh, it's well, um, it is a kind of I don't know whether this is going to sell it or not. It's kind of a sort of medieval dream allegory, only it's a conversation between um, viola and voice and all these different crossing harmonies. And it's this really sort of open, dreamy landscape, all the sort of rich hues. When you read like those medieval texts, it's all like the bright blues and the bright greens and like this beautiful garden, and then you're walking through this paradise, and you you see these birds talking to each other in the tree, and this piece happens.
See, that sold it for me. That sounds
Yeah, but
absolutely stunning, and now I cannot wait to hear it, because now I've got that picture in my head. It's going to be like, oh wow, I've got it, and this is going to be great. Thank you so much. So there you go. There's another reason to buy your tickets or log in online. So go to the Barbican website and put the 19th of November and the 20th of November in your diary. Get your tickets from the Barbican if you can make it to the Barbican. If not, on the 20th for a whole week on the Barbican website, you'll be able to watch the CRIPtic Pit Party on a streaming service thing. He says, forgetting what it is called at the moment, being so old, but you know, like kind of YouTube, but on the Barbican site. And with that, I'll say thank you so much, Rufus. You've been fantastic. That's bye from me. Bye from Rufus.
and bye from Rufus.
Smashing. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye. Bye, folks.